Welcome to the Filmcast review of Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. Now, I just want to say, before we begin, Jeff Kanata and I have already talked about this show on this podcast multiple times while revealing basically nothing about the movie. And that time ends now because we're going to give away the premise and some major components of the movie and then maybe in a spoiler section as well. So just be warned, according to the IMDb description.
Wait, Dave, did you know anything about the movie before you saw it?
No. So
yeah. Pretty special experience, I think, not knowing anything.
Absolutely.
Just FYI.
Agreed. But now
yes.
we are going to discuss stuff that's in the trailer, the premise, and so on and so forth, and what's in the IMDb description. So here it comes. Your last chance to peace out before we start talking about what's going on in this movie. When their plan to book a show at the Rivoli goes horribly wrong, Matt and Jay accidentally travel back to the year 2008, end quote. That is the plot summary of Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie from IMDb. Jeff Kanata and I have both already discussed this movie on this podcast. So, Devindra Hardawar, let's start with you this week. What did you think of Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie?
I mean, I have to love this movie. Like, just everything in this movie. I have to love it. But I'm going to bring up something that you guys didn't, because I'm not sure if you're aware of the connection. But the very first seconds of this movie alludes to the theme song from the Super Nintendo classic RPG Chrono Trigger. And I was like, yes, I know what you're doing. I know exactly what you're doing. You got me. So I love a movie that gets me instantly. It kind of reminds me of like Scott Pilgrim, where they also feature like the Zelda music early on too. Like you know the references you're going into with this. So it's like, oh, I see what you're doing. And if you stay till the end of the credits of this movie, not a huge spoiler, but there's a wonderful pixel art rendition of like Toronto as a Chrono Trigger world. That's kind of cool, and a little bit more of the music there too. So I knew the sensibility going through this movie, what it was. It's a certain geeky sensibility, and I thought it's genuinely hilarious. Like I've loved these guys because of the Blackberry movie. I've not seen Nirvana, the band, the show. I haven't seen the web series stuff, but I've heard very good things about it. They just have a generally great sense of humor, great timing, great setups. Like, I saw the trailer before I saw this, and before you guys were even talking about this movie. Like, I kind of knew this was going to be a thing. So I knew it was going to be a time travel thing, but it is interesting. It's really fascinating how they do it, how they maybe intercut older footage with new footage, and how they just make this whole crazy mess work. Like, there's a lot of Borat in here. There's a lot of like unintended audience participation. That's a lot of fun too. It's always surprising. It's always fun. And genuinely hilarious and heartfelt too. So we've got two great heartfelt time travel stories this week. That doesn't happen very often. I freaking love this.
What was the other one, just to be clear, Devindra?
What was Mike and Nick and
Nora. Mike and Nick.
We just spent 10 minutes on that movie.
Hey, I'm just saying for the people who are only watching the YouTube video.
Oh.
So I just want to be clear, by the way, Nirvana, the band, the show, it has previously been a web series that has then been followed up by a Viceland TV show. I believe Neon has acquired the rights to all of it, and they'll be releasing this later this year, so you can watch it all. I have had the chance to watch Nirvana, the band, the show, the Viceland show, as has Jeff Kanata. And so every episode involves them trying to do the same thing that they do in the film. So actually,
very Nirvana, pink in the brain. It seems,
Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie is like a very apt title because it's just like a movie version of what they're already doing in the show. Not only that, but every episode is also kind of based on a classic film from our childhoods, or not every, but like many of the episodes are based on a classic film. And so this one happens to be another film that we all know and love, but there's ones on like Jurassic Park and Star Wars and things of that nature. And so one thing that I think is just really awesome is that whatever you can say about Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, if you have any critiques of it, they kept the spirit of the show in the movie, right? It is that spirit in movie form. And I do think that's remarkable. In the sense that it can not only bring along people who are fans of the show, but also bring in new people who have never experienced the show at all. That is hard to do, and I think they have pulled that off. Jeff Kanata, obviously we've discussed this movie multiple times on the podcast before, but any more reflections on Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie right now?
Well, Dave, I guess you could say my more reflections are best summed up
Nailed it.
In the form of a limerick.
Let's hear it, Jeff.
How much do I love this film? Lots. Ingeniously blending old shots is brilliant indeed, and they don't even need 1.21 gigawatts.
Nice.
Yes, I've been very effusive in the past about this. Buckle up, because it's going to happen again. I
Yep.
totally agree with everything that Devindra said, in that it feels like it was made for us.
Yes.
This movie, like you said, Devindra, from the word go, is like, this is our people. These are our people. These are our sensibilities, our love letters. They took our love letters and they put them on the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't mean to be presumptuous. I may have said this on the show before. This feels a little self-serving, but I can't help but feel like if the Totally Rad show was still going, it would be this, right? Like these guys, I feel like I'm seeing myself up on the screen, right? And there's something about going back to 2008, which is basically right around the time the Totally Rad show started, right? The same time these guys started doing their thing. And doing it on the same technology, like,
same time movie, we started, by the way, too. It's a very special year.
Very special, right?
Yeah.
And it's a special time. It was that time of like infinite possibility, that time when technology was still this positive force in the world that allowed anybody to do the thing. And so much of what this movie is about on a subtextual level is technology and like using the old cameras from that time and the limitations of those old cameras and blending those old cameras with modern. It's speaking all that language.
I watched a video where they talked about some of their inspirations for the film, and one of the ones that was really unexpected was the Jerry Seinfeld documentary Comedian.
Yeah, wow. I saw that discussion.
Because that one was shot with like a Radio Shack camcorder.
Yeah,
and it's just one dude with a camera following around Jerry Seinfeld, and it's like that kind of aesthetic and sensibility. And that was interesting to me. Yeah.
In the weeks since I first saw Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, I have become utterly obsessed with these dudes and their show. I've watched their old show. I've tracked down and watched every interview that I could find about this movie, about them and their process. And it is extraordinary. This movie is incredible on the surface. Like just going in, it gives you a wild ride. It's heartfelt. It's lovely. It's this bromance. It's hilarious. It's brilliant. Like we talked about before, it feels like a magic trick. A lot of magic tricks in the show this week, but this really does feel like, how did they even pull this off? I think it is a more sophisticated movie masquerading as a very simplistic movie. And so even on the surface of it, it is, I think, astounding and thrilling and entertaining on every possible level I could hope for. But then when you start to learn about how it was made, it is even more inspiring and impressive, because this movie took 3 years of shooting. 3 years of shooting, not from conception stage, but like the shooting process was 3 full years. And what they do is they shoot for incredibly long stretches of time. And they do takes that are like an hour and a half of a single take. And they just keep rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling. And they try a bunch of things and they interact with real human beings and they do things and they just amass this insane amount of footage. And then they construct the movie in post and do a lot of visual effects of combining one shot with another, or taking a person that's in this shot and placing them in a different shot. But it all feels so stripped down and unsophisticated, even though what they're doing is extremely sophisticated. And, for example, well, I'll talk about it in spoilers. I won't do it for example until then. But I'm just so incredibly inspired by this movie. I think it is a testament to just doing it. Like, it is truly the sweat and blood and love is in this movie. Like, it is just these guys going, we're going to do it until we get it. It's just going to be the work, you know,
Yeah.
it is not like the secret of this movie's success is that it's a bunch of people who really like working with each other, who are
Yeah.
all committed to making something great. That's the beginning and end of it. And they just will keep working on it until they're happy with, until they're, and that to me is so incredibly inspiring. And what you get at the end result of that is something truly spectacular, truly unique, and really is an antidote to all of the sort of AI slop trend that we're seeing of making something easy, just typing in a few things. And like, this is the absolute opposite of that.
The opposite of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was watching an interview with the two of them, the filmmakers, and they were giving really good advice about how to make something great. And one of the things was, hey, don't worry about gear. Like, many people use gear as an excuse. Like, if I get the new camera, I can't make the thing. I don't have the equipment. Like, but it's like, you know, start with an iPhone and a lav mic, and that costs like $200, and you're good to go. That's all you need. And they have shown that that's true. The other thing they said that really struck me was like, find a team. Like, find a group of people that have your sensibility, that have your standards, that like share your vision of the world. And it's very clear they have both. They believe in both of those things. Like, shoot the thing, have a group of people that believe in your vision. And
it's a harder thing than you think,
what you need.
though.
That's what you need.
It's a harder ask sometimes than you think.
Agree. Oh, totally. But but I agree. Many parts of this movie inspire me. I agree with everything that Jeff Kanata said, and with everything that Devindra said. I mean, I think like as a movie, it is funny. It's occasionally moving. It's hugely enjoyable. Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie is a blast, and just references a lot of things that people who listen to this podcast or watch this podcast care about, enjoy, are touchstones for all of us. So it is just a wonderful experience on its face. And then, as Jeff said, you dig into like how it was made, how they even accomplished some of this stuff. And I think what's great is, you know, Jeff, you've described it as a magic trick. And what the nature of the magic trick is creating a new world, right? This movie creates multiple worlds. That's all I'm going to say about it before spoilers, right?
Yeah.
That look like extremely expensive and complicated to create. But how do you do that with an extremely small budget and with not very many resources? And that's what the magic trick is. It's like, oh, wow, we've created this world where, as an example, so-and-so is famous, right? And everyone knows who they are. And like, how do you do that? Like, what are the things you need to convince people to do that? And like, they figured out how to make that happen in a way that is believable.
Did you see that interview where they referenced a quote from Teller, from Penn and Teller? And the quote that Teller said, which is what their sort of North Star was, the secret to a lot of magic is the audience not believing a human being would spend that much time on something.
Right. That's right. That's right.
And that's this movie, right?
Yeah.
They just spent the time.
Just spent the time.
But also,
and like go ahead.
I want to point out there's footage from that early era, 2006 to 2009, that they have re-edited into this movie. It is as if we pulled old episodes of the film cast and tried to have a conversation with those clips.
Right.
That is astounding.
Right. Agreed.
That's genuinely astounding. Yeah.
So that's all true. And, you know, I'm just going to put this out there and then we should get the spoilers. Okay. So we can talk about our favorite parts of the film. But it's going to sound like I'm being, you know, I don't know, something bad when I say this. But this movie, like we talk about, hey, who is pushing the frontiers? Who's pushing the envelope when it comes to filmmaking, right? Christopher Nolan, Michael Bay, you know, whoever the director you want to choose is, right? And the dimensions that we think of them pushing the boundaries are pyrotechnics, visual effects. And what this movie made me realize is another dimension that we haven't thought about is legally. Fair use.
Oh, illegally.
Right? And what you can get away with when it comes to copyright protections of movies.
Right.
And so essentially, like, they've given interviews where they talk about this, where you are allowed to reference other movies and show other movies and so on without paying them any money under a law called fair use. And the way you justify that is one of the only ways, according to the director of this film, is that that movie is integral to the plot of the thing you're making. Like it cannot be any other thing, you know. So you can't just like, typically if you're like playing a movie in the background of your movie, you need to get rights to like, hey, I'm showing this movie. These characters are watching, you know, Stranger Things on TV. I need to get rights to Stranger Things to show them on TV. Not if them watching Stranger Things is essential to them, to the plot of the thing that they're making, right? To the plot of the episode. And anyway, that is a very random and possibly sinister sounding observation.
I love that observation. But I would add,
what were you going to say?
There's multiple vectors
of
pushing the boundary. Like I think legally is certainly one of them that is on display here. But I love that framing, in that, you know, you think of like James Cameron and Christopher Nolan and these people that are pushing cinema into new undiscovered country. And I feel like watching this movie, you go, there is a lo-fi version of that. There is there is a way to push cinema into a place that is interesting and unprecedented and sort of feels bold and fresh and new, but doesn't involve, you know, building cameras in a giant fish tank. You know what I mean?
Like the reason I said my thing is like, he has, you know, the director of the movie has said that this film, Matt Johnson, by the way, is who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
This film is a triumph of fair use. Basically.
It's clear. It's clear.
They have not gotten any of the necessary quote unquote rights that you might think would be necessary to make this.
And they also allude to the Alan Silvestri Back to the Future score, but they don't quite make it the score, right? So it's enough to be its own thing. All those fun things are really fun.
Anyway, I think we should get the spoilers because we don't have that much time left. So let's get the spoilers for Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, starting right now. Just to finish the thought, right? I think somebody on Letterboxd wrote this first, so I can't claim credit for this. But basically, this movie is like if somebody decided, hey, what if we just made a sequel to Back to the Future and just did it with no permission of any kind and see what happens? And you would get something like this movie, you know, and that is pretty amazing because nobody attempts that kind of thing because it's like, oh, what if, you know, we'll get sued or whatever. And it's like, not if you know fair use back and forth, which apparently the creators of this film do. So that's why I think legally it's kind of a groundbreaking movie.
I mean, even before we get to, you know, so my experience of watching this movie, I went in genuinely thinking it might be about Kurt Cobain. You know, I had literally no clue what this movie was about. I'd only heard that it was really good. And in the first however many minutes, when we leap off the CN Tower, like you're in this, like I said, lo-fi, very handheldy, just a couple of knuckleheads making a movie. And they come up with this idea of we're gonna get a spot at the Rivoli by this absurd way, you know, idea of leaping off the CN Tower and parachuting into the dome. And it's already a fun, wacky, silly. I'm in. I love these guys already. I love their dreamy, you know, their impracticality and their, you know, thinking outside ahead of their skis kind of mentality. And then we're in a, like Devindra said, a Borat style, you know, cinema verite, talking to who are clearly not actors. And then we're at the top of the CN Tower and we've got this, we're smuggling in a knife in through security and like clearly have shot this really doing that, right?
Without permission,
without permission. And I'm like, where is this going?
What's happening? All funded by the government of Canada.
Pay off in any like who's going to stop these guys?
Who's going to stop them? Canada themselves paid for this movie too, right? Like there's, it's wild showing their lax security for the CN Tower over there.
And then they do it, and then they go plummeting off the side, and now I am so in love with, and we haven't even gotten to Back to the Future. We haven't even gotten to time travel.
Yeah.
I am so in love with the magic trick just in the first, few minutes of how do we do that? What are we watching right now? How is this even possible with what this movie that is disguised as something super pedestrian, super, bootstrapped and lo-fi, doing something completely extraordinary and over the top and spectacular, like Tom Cruise level Mission Impossible kind of moment to me.
Yeah.
I was as thrilled as I was watching Tom Cruise hang from an airplane.
Yeah. And, on your note about spending so much time, apparently what you're watching when they're at the top of the tower is a GoPro recording from the tour guide that they give you after the tour is over. And what they did was they spent so many times going up to the top of the tower and doing the tour that they memorized the exact head movements that tour guide makes so that they could be in the right place for when they were doing the jump. They didn't actually jump, to be clear, but all the other stuff is like captured, in place.
Incredible.
And so
incredible.
It is really amazing.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
Another anecdote, the scene in the alternate future where there's an accidental shooting and then there's a whole press conference and police thing. That's the literal Drake shooting press conference.
Yes.
That they were sitting on their couch and it comes on TV that this happened at Drake's house. And they're like, oh my God, get in the car. We're going to go down and film this.
Right.
And I saw an interview on a Toronto local TV station where they showed footage from the news of them of that moment in real life where you can see Matt and his camera operator in the background and he's pointing at where to shoot. So he's like in the actual archival footage of that news event, shooting this movie.
Because they wanted to get a shot of Jay, the character from the movie, like running away from this house that has all these news cameras in front of it.
And you can't afford that.
And you can't afford to hire all those people. So it's like, let's use an actual tragedy.
But opportunity knocked.
To film that. Yeah. So it was amazing.
Crazy.
We gotta, of course, mention, they go back in time and all the little touches of when they travel to 2008 are very funny. Number one,
the hangover bit.
Number one, they ram into a pile of kiosks that have all weekly magazines in them.
Yeah.
Which is, that's only could have happened in 2008. And then, they go to the hangover and the way in which he realizes that he's in 2008.
People are laughing at homophobic jokes.
At the homophobic F slur. And
funny.
It's
in wide release movies. That's where the culture was at the time. But I love somebody from now goes there like, wait a minute, this is not this is not right.
This is something's off here. Yeah, that's very, very, very funny. And then Devindra, honestly, I didn't realize the first time I watched this, I didn't know that they used actual footage. So what apparently they did was they've been doing this for so long that they have all this footage that they've done from 17 years ago. And they looked at all the footage and they figured out hey, what's a story we can use to cut this around? But I didn't know that when I first watched the movie. So I was like, oh, wow, this de-aging is incredible. Or they must have hired doppelgangers.
I was like, that's
no
old footage.
That's
old footage.
Incredible.
Yeah.
This is incredible.
Yeah, incredible.
And then you realize, oh no, it's actually just footage from the time. And then of course they have this narrative reason why the footage from present, that they're shooting looks the same because they want to use the cameras from the time, and so it's just a wonderful way of very inventive way of found footage and using old school footage, tying in with footage you're shooting now with old school camera, just the way that they tied it all together, I thought was very, very wonderful.
Yeah. Two things I want to say about that. The first is they mentioned that their editors that they used for the movie are huge fans of their old web series. And so what happened is their editors did all this work. The editors, the way they shot those scenes is their editors had already pre-selected all the shots, the old shots they were going to use. And they just got on the day of shooting and they're like, okay, I need you to be over there and say this because we already have the shot where old you reacts to that. Yeah. And so they had it completely planned out on the day for exactly the pieces that they needed to make it all work. Because
I think more so than jumping off the tower, Jeff.
Had an encyclopedic knowledge of the stuff that they did.
Yeah.
So there's that. Second thing I want to say is I used to do this thing in the early days of living in Los Angeles. My friend put together something called the Scavenger Film Fest. I think I may have mentioned this before sometime. But anyway, it's a 24-hour film festival where you show up and you have these different teams and you make a movie from start to finish in 24 hours. And so you don't sleep. You start. There's some parameters that you have, and you go off, you write it, shoot it, edit it, and then at the end of 24 hours, everybody shows their films to each other. We did it a number of times. It was so much fun. Such great memories. But one of the ones we did, I think it might have been the last one we did, the guy who organized the film festival was never on the team I was on. He was a really good friend of mine, but he was not on my team. He had a different team. So the teams go off and they don't know what they're doing, and they come back and they show everybody their films, and everybody laughs and has a great time at all the, creativity that you employed over the last 24 hours. Well, we had shot a project that I had written years ago that never really got finished, but I had all this footage of my friend sitting in the back of a car doing this dialogue that we never used. And the guy who shot that was on my team. So one year, what we did was we did our 24-hour film where we shot us in the front seat, turning back and talking to him. And then you interspersed the dialogue that we had already shot of him. So he was in our movie unbeknownst to him. So when we showed the films at the end of this film festival, all of a sudden he's in our movie, and we put like starring and then our names and then his name at the end. And he's like, what? I wasn't even on your team. And then the movie happens and he's in our movie. So immediately when that starts happening in Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, I was like, oh, somebody else did it and they did it better. And it's brilliant. And this is genius, like to repurpose old footage that you happen to have. And I just loved that stuff so much. And it only happens because you put in the work. You do the just brute force of it all.
I will
and
say
the
that
longevity.
to me, that was, and the longevity, that was more impressive than the CN Tower jump to me. Like knowing, just looking at that scene, it's just guys talking in an apartment. I'm like, the logistics of doing this are insane. How did they make that happen? Yeah.
And one of the things they mentioned in interviews as well is that they looked at themselves and the difference in their physiology in those intervening years, and they wanted to find a way to use that as an advantage in the movie, like accentuate how different we look and make that an asset rather than like, ooh, those guys have really, because that's the experience that you have, not like, oh, those guys have really gotten old. It's, this is magic because look how different they look,
Yeah, totally. Loved the part where they also go back and then, first of all, like, there's some things that they shot back then that I'm like, wow, that just really worked out really well. Like there's versions of their younger selves that are like, does that guy look like me? It's like, there must have been a scene where they filmed that with their younger selves, and now it perfectly fits in with the movie. And so that's amazing. Many moments like that.
Yeah, I definitely had the thought, like, is this a freaking Richard Linklater style? Like they had an idea.
Did they know it?
20 years ago, they're like, let's maybe shoot some shit. Who knows?
Maybe. Who knows? And then they go back to the future, right? And then Jay McCarroll is super famous, and all that stuff is very funny. They convince, they have him like playing on this big stage. I haven't read how they shot that, but that looked very convincing that he's like a famous music star. And they show him being punched by Will Smith and all the other stuff that's really, really, really funny. I love that. And apparently, by the way, when they go back to the CN Tower and try to like hook the cable up, that whole sequence of them just walking through the city with a cable apparently took them like weeks and weeks.
Yeah.
To shoot, they would shoot it like, 5 seconds at a time. Like you'd shoot 5 seconds and then, okay, now we're walking on this street with this massive cable that we're dragging behind us.
The shot where he lands on the roof of the bus and comes down and all the people are inside reacting. They said they shot it over a dozen times.
Yeah.
To try to get it because they just kept not getting it. It's crazy. It's just amazing.
Yeah. And again, they're doing this probably like most of this stuff probably without permission or certainly without everyone knowing about it.
Yeah.
So a lot of the reactions they're capturing are genuine.
The girl that they go up to at the beginning of the CN Tower and then they come back to, that is so brilliant because it works the first time as this fun interchange with a civilian.
Yeah.
And then the fact that you come back and then she's like, the time travel stuff still works. It's like genius.
Yeah.
Genius.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, you know, what I love is that the movie is just about these two guys realizing how much they love each other. You know what I mean? Like, that's really the core. There's an emotional core to the film, which is Jay realizing, hey, I actually, this guy is a friend, and it's worth pursuing our dreams together, even despite how much of a complete fuck up.
It was a long walk to get there. It took a murder for that to happen. But that whole
murder is hilarious.
Oh man, I was watching that scene. I was like, oh, they're gonna do what I think they're gonna do. First of all, why is a loaded gun just hanging around Canada? That doesn't happen. That doesn't exist. But okay,
I died when that happened. When he shot him, it was like so shocking. Like, you don't see that coming. So, but yeah, so many like wonderful, hilarious moments in the film, and just a blast from start to finish. I had a great time, and it made me want to seek out their other work, which I have done.
Yep.
And I have to say, I'm a little less comfortable with some of their other work. Like, I feel like when you watch the other episodes of Nirvana the Band, the show, it really feels like they're genuinely inconveniencing people, like in the show. Like in the movie,
was the Borat era. You just go around, and now influencers just do that every day. That's what they do. You'd be walking down the street and people trying to shove social media quizzes in front of your face.
I didn't feel like that was the case with the movie. I felt like, oh, everyone's it's kind of like a fun thing for most people, other than maybe the CN Tower folks. But then you watch the show and it's like, wow, like if they don't have permission to do this, then they're probably annoying a lot of people. So, if this movie is like a very benign version of what they're doing, then I think that's a good direction, personally.
Well, they talk about how they shoot with non-actors and how they'll just like keep going just to get like a 3-second snippet,
right?
And they'll try to get people into a position where they say the one thing they need them to say, and it's an art form, man. And yes, I've done some of that a little bit, improvising with people on the street and stuff, shooting stuff. But man, it's impressive what they are managed to get.
This is such an anti-AI movie, by the way. Like when we talk about just human creativity, human innovation, like, this is it. This isn't just typing a bunch of keys and like, recreating a scene from Back to the Future. It is building a whole construction of a narrative around that and doing it with very little money. That's far more impressive than a photorealistic CGI, recreation of something.
Absolutely. Because it has heart, it has work behind it. Wonderful film. Check out Nirvana the Band, the show, the movie. Check out the series it's based on. And at the end of the day, it is extremely impressive that Matt Johnson made a movie. Thank you so much for watching this video of the Filmcast. Check out these other videos that we have available, and be sure to hit like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to get other videos from us in the future.
You can also go to thefilmcast.com to catch all of our audio podcast versions of all of our episodes.
And support this podcast at patreon.com/filmpodcast, where you can sign up for ad-free episodes and exclusive After Darks.
Thanks so much to everyone who makes the Filmcast possible.